This is example number 6 in the lecture note, prior service cost amortization under years of service method. So this is the preferred gap method. So before, what we had done for prior service cost amortization is amortize on a straight line basis over the average remaining service life of active employees, which is acceptable but not preferred. Basically, anytime you have a preferred method, the firm has to explain to the auditor why it was not used. So, and the only real reason you can use it is, or when you can use it, is if there's no material difference generally. But it is a cost benefit thing. Typically, the acceptable but not preferred methods are less costly to calculate. But we're going to do the preferred method, and not just in pension accounting, but just realize that in lots of places there are preferred versus acceptable but not preferred methods. And in most cases, you're going to use the preferred method. In terms of the test or whatever, this is a one-off skill. What I mean by that is, I will not put this question in a comprehensive question. So you may be asked to do this as a standalone question, okay? As opposed to, and what I mean is, as opposed to the comprehensive type of problems we've done where you've had to take into consideration, all the components of pension expense or, liability gains and losses, the entire comprehensive pension problem. This is would be just calculate the amortization under years of service method. All right, it's pretty straightforward. So what is a year of service? It's one employee working a full year. So the way a pension plan works is, let's say, rule of thumb, every year you work, you're entitled to 3% of your average salary, typically for the last 5 years. So every service year, your future benefits will increase, okay? And that's the service cost, the amount the benefits increase in present value as a result of the service provided this year. So we're calculating for prior service, and what we're going to do is, in this particular case, they made an amendment to the plan that increased prior service costs by $100,000, and FASB allows that to be placed in other comprehensive income prior service costs and amortized under the years of service method. So the actuary gives us future years of service, and this is by an employee, but usually what they'll have is by employee pool. So instead of Pasquinel, you'd have 100 employees with 3 years. Instead of John, you'd have 150 employees with 4, and so on. And then you do a weighted average. Here it's going to be a simple average, because just think of one employee in each pool. All right, so we expect Pasquinel to work 3 more years and then retire. John 4, Travis 6, Amy 6, and Henley 6. So 3, 4, let's say 6, 6, 6 is 18, 22, and 25. Total expected future years of service. Okay. All right, so that's where the 25 comes from. Now, average remaining service life of active employees, you can now calculate it. How about that? 25 expected future years of service, 5 employees, 5 years on average per employee. All right. So in the other examples we saw, we take 100,000 divided by 5, and it'll be 20,000 a year for 5 years. And so if you were going to do straight line, it's 0. I mean, excuse me, it's 20,000, but in FY14, it would be 2014, it would be 0 because it's fully amortized. So on a straight line basis, you'd have 5 years of 20,000 and then nothing. But I want to point out here that 2 of your employees are actually working past that. So on our years of service method, we're going to see that will continue until the last person is working. So, I mean, in that sense, it kind of is a little more logical. All right. So what you do is you take the service years in a given year. In 2009, all 5 employees work 1 year. That's 5 service years. In 2010, they're still all there, 5 years. 2011, they're still all there, 5 years. Then let's see what's going on here. Well, Pasquinel retires, so then you're down to the last 4. All right, so then your 4 years, 4/25, 16%. And let's see, and then John retires, so now you're down to 3 employees. And they're all going to retire together. So we go 3 and 3 for the last 2 years. 3 over 25 is 12%. 3 over 25 is 12%. You take 20% times 100,000 is 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 16,000, 12,000, 12,000. They both total 100,000, but as I have said many times during the semester, accrual accounting is about the total amount of 100,000, but it's also the timing where you're going to put it. And what happens with this YOS, years of service method amortization, is you'll go longer, but later you'll have lower amortization expense. All right. So I would say, in my estimation, I would guess CFOs preferred as well, not just the FASB. Anytime you can stretch out expenses is better. Generally, for a CFO, gives them more degrees of freedom to find other places to increase net income. And I'm talking about within the confines of GAAP. I'm not talking about any kind of malfeasance. Just in general, if you end up being a corporate and a CFO or controller or whatnot, if you can stretch out expenses, then it's you have more wiggle room for other stuff to make sure your net income is stronger. So assuming you're not violating GAAP, right? All right, so that's years of service method. Once again, just be prepared to answer this as a standalone question.